The rivalry that is defining an era in world tennis is reigniting. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner will face each other once again, this time in the final of the 2025 US Open. Two giants, two generations that no longer wait for the future, they are the absolute present. And what is at stake is not only a title, but also the #1 spot in the world. Sinner is clear, facing Alcaraz always pushes him to the limit. But far from avoiding that challenge, the Italian embraces it with determination. "I love these challenges," he warned, sending a direct message to the Mercian. The road to this final has been crushing. Carlos Alcaraz defeated Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals, showing that he is ready to overcome anyone on the hard courts of New York. For his part, Jannik Sinner dismissed Felix Auger-Aliassime with authority. Both arrive in full form, and the feeling is that we are about to witness a match destined to go down in history. It will be their third Grand Slam final just in 2025. The overall head-to-head favors Alcaraz, with 9 victories over Sinner's 5. However, in the big moments, the balance is total. This year they already clashed at Roland Garros and Wimbledon. In Paris, the Mercian was crowned champion after an intense battle. In London, the Italian struck back by conquering the grass. Now, the New York hard court will be the stage for the tiebreaker. Sinner openly acknowledges it. Every time he plays against Carlos, he has to prepare for the match in a special way. "Whenever we step on the court, we are aware of more things, because he or I try to prepare the match tactically and in different ways," he confessed. That demand forces him to reinvent himself in every encounter, which enriches not only his tennis but also the sport in general. But he also revealed the pressure that such an intense rivalry entails. "Sometimes it's nice not to play against him," he admitted sincerely. And yet, he added something key: "It's great for the sport to have rivalries." For the Italian, facing Alcaraz is not an obstacle but an opportunity. A way to raise his level and to keep building his own legacy. The context adds even more spice. Since reaching world #1 in June 2024, Sinner has remained at the top for 65 weeks. Not even a 3-month suspension stopped his reign. But now that throne is in danger. If he loses against Alcaraz in the final, the Mercian will replace him at the top of the ranking, reclaiming a spot he has not occupied since September 2023. And for Alcaraz, the motivation could not be greater. At Flushing Meadows, he already lived one of the greatest moments of his career. In 2022 he conquered his first Grand Slam here, defeating Casper Ruud and becoming the youngest world #1 in history. 3 years later, he has the chance to repeat that feat, this time by snatching the leadership from the man who has become his greatest rival. Sinner's words are a declaration of intent. "I love these challenges. I love putting myself in these situations. He's someone who pushes me to the limit, which is great, because that way you get the best feedback possible as a player." With this sentence, he made it clear that he does not fear Alcaraz, but uses him as a source of motivation. He does not shy away from the challenge, he pursues it, because he knows that only in this way can he reach his maximum level. He also cleared up any doubts about his physical condition. In the semifinals he had some discomfort, but confirmed that he is at 100%. That detail is not minor, because a final against Alcaraz demands the best possible performance. These are matches that usually stretch to the limit, where every point is played as if it were the last, and where mental and physical endurance makes the difference. For the Italian, this duel not only defines a title but also his permanence as #1. Losing would mean giving up the throne after more than a year of dominance. Winning, on the other hand, would reinforce his position as the great reference of the circuit. The pressure is maximum, but Sinner seems to enjoy that weight on his shoulders. He takes it as extra motivation. Alcaraz, on the other hand, arrives with overflowing confidence. Beating Djokovic in the semifinals not only gave him the ticket to the final, but also the conviction that he can once again defeat anyone. His game on hard court looks sharp, aggressive, and varied, perfect for a stage like Arthur Ashe Stadium. In addition, he knows that this tournament has a special symbolic value for him, as everything started here in 2022. The crowd is also part of this story. New York is preparing to experience a final that promises emotions at the limit. The atmosphere, the noise, the energy of the city. Everything seems aligned for this rivalry between Alcaraz and Sinner to consolidate as the greatest of the decade. Every rally will be a spectacle, every set a story in itself. Thus, the US Open final is not just another match. It is a decisive chapter of a saga that is just beginning. Sinner said it clearly, things are changing a little. And those words summarize the essence of this moment. Two players who no longer settle for fighting, but seek to dominate. And they will do it face to face, on the biggest stage in tennis. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner will star in a final that already feels historic. For the title, for the world #1 spot, and for the consolidation of a rivalry that promises to mark the course of tennis in the next decade. The Italian issues the warning: he loves challenges, and facing Alcaraz is the greatest of all. The Mercian, on the other hand, seeks to confirm his reign and regain the throne. Only one will emerge victorious in New York, but whatever happens, tennis has already won. Wilander gives the key for Alcaraz to be able to beat Sinner in the big final in New York. Mats Wilander gave Carlos Alcaraz a slight favoritism in the 2025 US Open final against Jannik Sinner and outlined what could be the keys to the clash. The former world #1 believes that the Spaniard's serve could make the difference if it continues at the level shown throughout the tournament, and he thinks that if he pushes himself 100% he has more chances of winning than the Italian. The third consecutive Grand Slam final between Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz will crown the new king of New York, but also the one who will come out as world #1. For Mats Wilander, the key to the duel will be the level that the Spaniard can show with his serve. The key to the match will be Carlos Alcaraz's serve. He is serving much better lately, and if he gets 1 or 2 free points in his service games, it will make a big difference, he said on Eurosport. From the Italian's perspective, the serve will also be important, but the Swedish ex-player emphasizes the magnitude of his aggressiveness. Then it will be about Jannik Sinner and how aggressive he can be. Can he be the one to set the pace in most points, as he did at Roland Garros or Wimbledon? Can he do it on hard court? Also, the serve for the Italian will also be fundamental for his confidence, he explained. The match promises once again to be a battle without quarter like at Roland Garros or Wimbledon, not resolved too quickly given the level of both and the confidence they have in their game. I think both have the same confidence. They know they are far ahead of the world #3 and the rest of the players. They are fighting for #1 and #2, and one of them will become the world #1, argued Wilander. And although logically the current champion and winner of the last 3 hard-court Grand Slams, who is on a 27-match winning streak in them, would be the favorite for almost everyone, the former #1 is betting on the Spaniard to lift the title. I think Carlos Alcaraz might have a certain advantage because when he plays at 100% he usually wins. When Sinner plays at 100% it does not mean he wins the match. So for me Carlos Alcaraz is a slight favorite. It should be an incredible match, he concluded. The biggest prize in the history of tennis, the money Alcaraz or Sinner will earn if they win the US Open. In a record-breaking 2025, the US Open will put up for grabs the biggest prize in the history of this sport. How much will the winner and the finalist earn this Sunday? The prestigious US Open title, the world #1 ranking, and the juiciest prize in the history of tennis. Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner will play for everything this Sunday on the Arthur Ashe Court. The American Grand Slam will distribute in the 2025 edition the biggest economic prize in the history of this sport, since tennis, in terms of prize money, surpasses itself almost month after month. Already at the last Wimbledon the organization offered what until then had been the largest prize ever in a major. Sinner, winner of Wimbledon 2025, took €3,462,300, and Alcaraz, for his part, pocketed €1,754,232. For example, months earlier, the Mercian earned €2.55 million for retaining his crown at Roland Garros. Once again, the biggest prize in the history of tennis. This time, the US Open will give the winner the incredible figure of $5 million, which is equivalent to €4,250,000, and the finalist will have guaranteed no less than €2,125,000, just €400,000 less than what Charlie earned by lifting the Musketeers Cup in Paris. Carlos Alcaraz comes to Donald Trump's defense. The Spanish tennis player defends the president's presence at the US Open final, in which he will face Jannik Sinner. Carlos Alcaraz has once again achieved a major feat. The Spanish tennis player has reached another Grand Slam final after defeating Novak Djokovic this past Friday. A match in which Carlitos showed his high level against an always dangerous Knoll, although Alcaraz not only drew attention for his performance on court. After his great victory, the Mercian went to the press conference and there he also captured all the attention by speaking about the new controversy around Donald Trump, since the President of the United States, as confirmed by the White House and the tournament organization, will be present at the US Open final, which takes place this coming Sunday in New York. Carlos Alcaraz supports Donald Trump at the US Open. The US Open final already has a date and time, and also the star players who will fight for the title, but the latest bombshell has been the confirmation that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, will be present at the key match of this competition in New York. Trump's presence at Arthur Ashe puts the president in a bind, as it is very likely that the crowd will boo him due to the continuous controversies. However, Alcaraz comes to his defense and acknowledges that it is very positive for this sport. It is a privilege for tournaments that the president of any country is there to support the tournament and the match, Carlos assured, defending Trump's presence at this great event. I will try not to pay too much attention to Trump being in the stands on Sunday. I will try not to get nervous because he is there, the Spaniard added.